All right, so in the top left corner, it says recording. So this is our, what is it, September 24th team meeting with Dr. A. Eric's sitting in for the fabulous Paula while she's on assignment, as they say. Today we're gonna.
Hey, here he is, okay?
All right.
He's talking already. All right, Lindsay's just joined us.
Hi, Lindsay, how are you?
Hey, doing well. How are you?
I'm so glad you can hear me and I can hear you, and whatever you say from there, Doctor can replay as well and repeat to me. So, all right, so let's jump in. You guys ready?
Yes.
Now listen, I really don't care if you're ready or not, but you just got to say yes when I ask questions, okay?
Yes, we're ready.
I'm just kidding. All right. Hopefully we'll have some fun today too. We learn more when we're laughing, right?
That's right.
All right. So let's talk about getting new patients in the door. That's what we've been focused on. We looked at some numbers last time with Paula. We were all on the phone together, Dr. Paula. We were all there, and we said, all right, how do we get to a place where we get more business coming in with new patients? And so one of the business phrases that I'm familiar with, becoming more familiar with over and over again, is the term friction. Have you guys ever heard of that term friction before?
Yep.
So in business, what does business friction mean? If you think about it, if you think about friction, it means it's a way to prevent people from doing business with you.
It's like resistance or something holding you back.
Exactly. Obstacles, objections, roadblocks to having them actually do business with you. And unfortunately in dentistry, we have a lot of frictions that get in the way. So there's a company out there right now that's doing a phenomenal job at removing frictions. And in the last 5 years or so, they've really, really blown up. And almost everybody orders things through them, and it shows up on their porch. They just get on their phone and they swipe, and it's ordered, it's done. They know they're getting a good deal, and it's free shipping, right? What business is that?
Amazon.
Amazon. Okay, so you have heard of it. Okay, all right. So they're even talking about
Alabama. Imagine that.
Even in Alabama. So they're even talking about removing more friction, right? They want to have a computer in your living room named Alexa that you say, Alexa, order my peanut butter, and it's going to show up on your doorstep, removing friction. They're talking about drones that are going to deliver this in your backyard. I can't even imagine that. So in dentistry, we have a lot of frictions to eliminate. Think about what are some of the frictions you think of right away that a new patient has to do business with you? What's number one?
Fear.
Fear and money.
That's crazy.
Lindsay's on fire. Lindsay's on fire right now. So fear and money. Here's a big one that we don't even think of, right? I just described a business to you and you knew the name, right? Now, if I describe this dental office over here in this area, this neck of the woods, to some stranger, would they know your name?
I don't know.
Maybe, maybe not, right? There's a friction. So Walter Haley said, be famous in your own hometown, right? So there's lots of ways to get going in this removing of friction. But yeah, fear. I don't like going to the dentist. Now, you have some control over that, but not a lot of control. A lot of the reasons we have friction is because we don't have a lot of that control. Money, insurance, fears, all those things. And then we have our own frictions. Well, we only schedule this at this time. Doctor's only here on these days. No, we don't do that here. Any sort of negative response to somebody wanting to do business with you creates a friction. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay, awesome. All right, so what we're going to do is figure out how to get our action plan together to not only remove frictions, but to increase our new patients so that we can sense this friction being removed. Okay, guys? So our first goal is to go from, we're averaging 14 new patients a month, and that's any kind of new patient, and we want to get to 21 new patients a month. Is that correct, doctor?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
We ran those down.
In our last call, we talked about implementing the new patient analysis tracker. And somebody's using that, correct? Who's implementing that?
So me and Shannon are using the tracker, but I know there was brief mention of the new patient thing, but we have not started that yet.
Okay. Well, I would love to email it to you right now if that's okay. And that way you have it. Would that be all right?
Yes, that's great.
Am I just going to reply to the kalexanderdmd@gmail.com?
Yeah, I'll make sure Shannon gets it.
All right. I'm going to CC Paula on it. She'll like that. All right, let's go. Coaching, new patients, tracker, where is it? New patient tracking.
I brought a copy of it.
Awesome.
Oh, yeah, that's the one that we're gonna have to.
All right, so how this is gonna work is the blue across the top, the blue writing, you're gonna change your sources. You're really only gonna use it by digitally. You're not going to use it by paper, okay?
Okay.
So every time you get a new patient, you're going to just
Pull it up.
pull it up, add a new patient to it, just a 1, delete it, make it a 2. So I am going to have that pulled up on my computer here. That way, in case I share my screen, you guys can see it. Let's see. All right, quickly here. All right, can you guys see this at all? Is it way too small?
I'm not sure. It's not
It's way too small.
Way too small. Let's see if we can make it bigger. So just know that this blue bar across the top, that's totally editable. You put your marketing sources right in there, okay?
Okay.
All right. So that is yours to tweak.
Half of those long boxes, postcards, we don't do them.
Yeah. Totally change these. Totally customize these. And then every time you get a new patient, oh, we got a new patient from 1-800. Oh, we got another new patient from 1-800. Oh, we got one from the website. Oh, we got another one from the website. You just start changing it. And then what happens is it just starts giving us a percentage, and the doctor put cost in, and then we know what's working, what's not working. So these are just some of the marketing sources that I'm familiar with that offices are using that tend to work or used to work. I think 1-800 is a little outdated, but it can still work in certain areas. But you'd put specific things in here. Okay? You guys got it?
So those are new patients that actually come into the office. Is that correct?
Okay, yeah, so great question. This is not, I just hung up the phone and I scheduled a new patient. This is looking at yesterday's schedule and saying, we saw that new patient yesterday.
Gotcha.
Yeah, good, great question, Lindsay, yes. So I want to make sure that we're tracking. For me, I'm adult comprehensive exam guy. I'm not kids and emergencies. So you guys can decide where you want to draw that line. I feel like kids are more icing on the cake. If you're paying attention to what marketing source is working for you, and you're also comparing number of new patients to number of treatment plans that compare to case acceptance and dollar, kids don't really play a role in any of that. They didn't choose the marketing source. They typically don't have large cases presented to them. They're typically not a bunch of dentistry to produce. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Emergencies can be one and dones. And so I tell my doctors, look, I want to force you to do what you tell me you want to do, which is comprehensive dentistry. So you can count that emergency after you get them out of pain and they actually show up for their comp exam. That's when we'll count them.
Good.
That sound good?
Yep.
All right, awesome. So we're going to do that. We're going to track. Now let's remove some frictions.
Eric, can I ask a question?
Absolutely.
Okay, so this is important because we want to know where to focus our attentions and where our greatest value is when it comes to marketing dollars. Okay, which is an issue. I mean, it's something we need to pay attention to. But it's fair to say, tell me if I'm wrong, but it's fair to say that word of mouth and internal asks are far and away still the most effective and least costly of all forms, right?
Any marketing studies that I have read personally across the board in any industry, especially in dentistry, state that even when you're phenomenal at spending money and getting marketing coming, new patients coming in from an ad of any kind, even when that's effective, your new patient, you have 10 new patients, 100 new patients, 60% of them are still going to come from word of mouth. That's healthy, because when one external new patient drops in the bucket, right, they go refer 4 more new patients to you.
Okay.
Okay. So
Okay.
even when you spend money, that one trickle turns into 4 branches.
Wow. Okay.
That's
fascinating.
If we're doing what we're supposed to be doing with asking for referrals.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
Thank you. Yeah.
All right.
Cool.
Great question. So let's talk about frictions. Team, right now, a new patient calls you. What's the #1 reason you can't get them scheduled?
For us at the Crestline office, it's because we're non-providers with insurance.
Okay. Insurance is restricting something there. So out of network. Now, is it where they have to go to someone in network, or is it their perception is they have to go somewhere in network?
Well, they don't understand it, which is why there has to be scheduled.
Okay. So the law of the herd, right? The natural law of the herd. What's that?
We just watched that on the Crown Council site, literally last week.
Oh, really? Okay. They're talking about it too?
Yeah.
Okay. What does that mean? What's the law of the herd?
People do what others do.
That's right. So we have a lot of patients who have that same exact insurance, Ricky Bobby. And what we do for them.
That was funny.
That's what I call my husband.
I don't know what to do with my hands now. So what I would say is, I would say to a patient, we have a lot of patients who come to us who work for FedEx. And what we do for all of them is X, Y, and Z. And you hear the word all. We have a lot, all. Right? And they'll follow the herd. That's the point. So make it easy for them. That doesn't eliminate that conversation. That's a whole nother team meeting we need to do on, how to handle the in-network conversation, but make it easy for them. Make the tone of your voice sound easy. I am a big proponent of never saying no.
We talked about that too. So guess what our answer to the friction for that was?
Yeah.
Starting over the mountain dentistry, which is a provider. So that was our best solution to removing the friction. So
yeah,
when people call at Alexander Dentistry and we're a non-provider, we have the answer for them. If they don't want to, yeah.
You could give them either or, right? You could say, we have a lot of patients who come here who have that insurance and understand really the only difference is going from a $25 deductible to a $50 deductible. That's how it works here. We bill your insurance. Everything works great here. Okay. And we do that as an out-of-network provider. Or we can refer you to Over the Mountain where you're in network and you don't have to worry about that change at all, which would be better for you. Now, I might not offer that if they've been referred to me at Alexander because there's a personal referral, right? But if you're trying to funnel dentistry and business to here, then of course that would make sense. All right. Awesome. Okay. So here's one. How long would it take for me to get in as a new patient who called today?
At Over the Mountain Dentistry, how long, Shannon?
A couple weeks. No, not necessarily even that long, depending.
Sometimes
It
2
just kind of
weeks.
depends on everybody kind of seems to want first thing in the morning or like last thing in the afternoon. So if they want one of those times, it could be, like maybe 3 or 4 weeks out. But if they're flexible, it could be within, 2 weeks.
Okay. You remember when you were a kid and you really wanted something really bad? How long were you willing to wait for it?
Not long, like you want to do it right then.
Yeah. And so again, another friction is length of time. How quick do I get my package delivered from Amazon right now?
1 day.
Yeah, 1 or 2 days. If you're telling me I got to wait 5 days, I'll probably go down and buy it. Right? I can go on my Target app, order that something, pay for it, and pull in. They'll hand it to me in my car now. You guys shop at Target too?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. It's the fancy Walmart. All right. So we're very snobbish there.
That's fun.
So here's what I know. Motivation lasts 7 days. January 8th, there are a lot of empty gyms out there. So my New Year's resolution was to go to the gym more often, and I went for about 7 days, or I went once in 7 days, maybe twice. But by January 8th, the motivation, it loses something. So have you guys ever had a new patient not show up?
Oh, yeah.
No, never.
It drives us crazy.
Never. Okay, let's move on to the next one. So I personally believe a huge friction in that is length of time. So how can we get them in within 7 days?
Yeah, because I know even like if I'm looking for something that I need to fit my schedule, like an appointment, I'll call one place. Like even if I know that it's like somewhere I really want to go, if they can't get me in for say, 7 to 10 days, I'm like, okay, you can go ahead and put it down. Then I might be calling some other places to see if I can get in sooner. And then if I can, I'll always call back and cancel the other one. But I think that's what people do. And then they don't even bother to call back and cancel the original.
I don't think people are as nice as you are, Lindsay.
Most people aren't.
No.
I work with a lot of nice people.
Yeah, you're not going to recognize them in Walmart. If they brush by you at Walmart, you're not going to know who they are, right?
Right.
Okay. So what we need to do is figure out how to get them in within 7 days. That's number one. But part two is if we schedule them beyond 7 days, what are some things we do to ensure they're going to be here? And that means let's talk about that part first. That means like I have a client, the doctor makes an outgoing phone call to introduce herself to the patient. They call during normal working days and say, "Hi, Ricky Bobby. This is Dr. Lamette. I'm looking forward to meeting you. I know I'm scheduled to see you in about 5 days. Bring all your questions with you. I'm looking forward to seeing you here in our office," right? The doctor, new patient call. Remember that?
Yeah, we do that, but it's typically 1 or 2 days before.
Okay, so if it's a patient that you schedule beyond 7 days, you may want to move that up. Why would you want to move that within that 7 day window closer to like 5-6 days? Give them more of a heads up. Hey, we're expecting you. And they go, "Oh God, I didn't call them and tell them I wasn't coming." And then they call you, at least tell you. Now you've got time to refill that spot. That's possible, right? I have an office in Alaska where the doctor calls the patient the night they schedule. So he calls them that night and says, "I'm so glad you chose our office. I'm looking forward to meeting you." He actually has a conversation with them. He's a bit fancy with it, right? So that's one thing you could do, but that's still beyond the 7 days. That doesn't solve our 7 day window problem. Do you remember when we used to have issues with patients showing up who needed to pre-med and we couldn't treat them?
Yeah.
Okay. This was another 7 day window tool to use. So I would always call and say, "Dr. Bryant asked me to give you a call. I've emailed you or I've sent you the link for your medical history to fill out. And I'm wondering on 2 of those questions, what you've answered so that we can prepare for you for your visit. Please call me back so we can discuss this." "Oh, doctor, medical history, wondering how I answered. I better give him a call." Now, if they have no intention of coming and seeing me, they don't call me back for that phone call, alarms are going off, right? So this comes from way back when. Now you can still get them to call back and say, basically, "Have you had any, joint replacements? Do you have any heart issues?" "Okay, great. Doctor wanted to confirm that as we're looking forward to seeing you in 4 days," whatever it is, right? Is this making sense, guys?
Yeah.
Yep.
So if you want to remove that friction and say, "Oh, well, we got to schedule them 7 days beyond," at least you have to remove a friction of them not ditching you like Lindsay's talking about and not calling and just a no-show. We can eliminate that chance of that happening greatly by either of those 2 types of calls. So somebody write down who's going to do outgoing new patient phone calls. Doctor, outgoing call, new patient call. I would put, 5 days. And how about we'll call it medical history call. Medical history call, I don't know, you could put 3 days. Now, do either of these replace your normal text message, email reminder, phone call system?
No.
No. They're just a part of the system. You're preheating them. One of the biggest reasons people will buy something from someone like us where it's high dollars is credibility. If I had, let's see, Nicole, Shannon, if you had answered the phone and I had just called a cold call to your practice and said, yeah, this is Eric Vickery, I'm a consultant. I'd like to do a meeting in your office, and you'd never heard of me before, what would your response be?
Yeah, it's like a message for Dr. Alexander, and then not.
He's busy. He's very, very busy.
Yeah. I used to play that same role, you know. Well, Dr. Bryant will give you a call back, right? But if Paula Harris says, hey, this guy, right? Now there's credibility of doing business together, right? More belief. And some of you still had doubt sitting in the meeting going, okay, well, am I really going to get anything I can use before this meeting starts? And so then I've got to build some credibility as we go. Every time we get good information, it builds more credibility. The same thing with your patients. The more credibility you create in that context, right? Making calls, connections, in the new patient phone call, whatever it is, the more likely they are to want to do business with you. Maybe by the time I hang up the phone, I go, you know what? It's going to be 10 days, but I really like Shannon on the phone. That Dr. Lamette must really know their business. You're creating a perception in their mind of credibility. So I call it a confidence in your competence. Every interaction they have, you know, do I have to drive to a bad part of town? When I look on your website, can I see your faces?
Yeah,
or is it like,
you had a really good recommendation for us last time about, you know, the new patients that you're scheduling out in the future, to email them either our website link or our office video, like YouTube link. That way they can establish a connection there.
Absolutely. Relationship creates credibility, right?
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. That's good. Good stuff. Okay. Now, how do we get patients in less than 7 days as a new patient? How can we do that without completely abandoning our ideal day scheduling? What can we do? Paula sent you the 5 types of new patients. Did you guys get that?
I haven't spread it around. Let me see if I have it. Hang on.
Okay.
I do have a copy of it. Uno momento.
I know you can't see me, Lindsay, but my hands keep showing up in the camera like Ricky Bobby for some reason. So I don't know what to do with them. I don't have a handout from Dr. A right now, so I don't know what to do with them.
Sorry, Lindsay, but I actually do have it in my hand.
All right.
Yeah. So you want me to go through this a little bit, Eric?
Yeah, please do.
Okay. So 5 levels of a new patient visit. All right. The number 1 is look-see. All right, so this is a patient that will come for a no charge, no chair, high fear, external marketing, non-referred patient. Okay, so you can tell that they are like, you can just tell there's no other way they're gonna get here. There's no other way in tarnation. they'll make it in the office unless you invite them that kind of way, which is fine to do with me. We've never done that, but sure. Okay, now typically that kind of a patient, when we spoke before, Eric, tell me if I'm wrong, but that kind of a patient, you'd schedule them a couple of units, maybe with Jamie, just Jamie, or Dr. Lamette, ideally, or Ann, anybody. But maybe they could just walk down the hall and see the office and just get the warm feeling that people get when they come here. Maybe if there's nobody in the reception room, they sit down in the reception area here, have hot chocolate in the winter. It's too hot here to have hot chocolate right now. A cold water, maybe, whatever. But that's the look-see patient. The next patient, number 2, is
let me jump in real quick. I want to figure out, how do we say yes to these any patient that's on this list, right? How do we say, yes, we can do that, right? So they call up and say, I'm terrified of going to the dentist. Can you see me today? Yes, we can do that.
Mm-hmm.
Now, do you guys ever end up with like openings in the schedule day of?
Oh, yeah.
Is it always the perfect amount of time to do a full, complete, comprehensive examination?
No.
No. But here's where the freedom comes in is do what you can that day to get them in. Just get them in. If they're real simple, you'll knock it out of the park. It was perfect. But if it's real complicated, you're probably going to have them back for a consult anyway. What you don't want to do is start treatment before the exam's done. That's all. It just may take more visits for them. But once they've been in the practice, seeing anybody for anything, it could be one part of the new patient exam. Maybe you just do the emotional exam. Maybe you take just external photos of them because that's all they can handle. That's part 2 of 20 things we do in a new patient exam. We'll do 18 the next time. Right? Does that make sense?
Yes.
Yes.
You guys ever used to play with that pinball game? It was like this little cheap thing you won at the carnival, and it was like you pulled the little handle down, the BB shot up the top, and then it bounced all around all of the pegs, then it landed in a number. Remember that?
Oh, yeah.
These things are all different drop-ins. They're drop-in points that Paul has pointed out to you of how to see a new patient. They all will work. We'll all get to the end, the bottom, right? They all funneled to the $1 million prize, right? The comprehensive exam. They all funnel that way, but it's which peg are they hitting on the way down before we get them to that point. We feel like, oh, I don't want to waste our time. We got to get it all done in one visit. 2 hours. I'm going to be there for 2 hours, right?
Exactly.
They don't, why do they, they don't perceive what we got to do. So maybe it's 2 1-hour visits. Maybe it's a half hour to 90-minute visit. Maybe you feel like after you see them for 30 minutes, wow, this is actually pretty straightforward. It's going to be an hour visit. You can totally customize it. So we call that exam typing. So just know that that exists and you guys can tweak it however you want and create your magic around. Yes, we can see you then. Because all of you are talented and trained enough to grab a new patient and start a process with them. For this type of patient right here we don't want them to go to bed with an appointment because every night they go to sleep and they've got a dental appointment in the future and they're high fear, guess what they're thinking about?
Not coming.
And not coming. That's right. That's what
How do I get out of that appointment?
Not come.
I've been losing sleep for 6 nights and they're exhausted. They can't even do it by the 7th day. Okay. All right. Keep going, Dr. A.
All right. The second type of patient, that was look-see. This is the new patient emergency. All right. You want to talk about that a little bit or do you want me to carry on?
Do you pre-block emergency time every day?
We do at Alexander Dentistry here.
Yes, sir.
Not here. We don't.
Okay. Is there no room in the schedule for that? Like it's so busy you don't have room to do that, or you just not have a lot of emergencies?
There's open time.
Yeah.
Oh, so the thought is, hey, we got open time. We'll just put them in whenever they call.
Basically.
Okay. I mean, I would still pre-plan because at some point you're going to be busy enough where you're going to have it pre-planned. You might as well get in the habit of having it there. So wherever you put that, my thing is 4 o'clock. Two emergencies, 1 in each column at 4, and we figure it out. But everybody does it a bit different. Maybe right after lunch. I like right after lunch for a new patient. So, but again, another way for a new patient to come in, we fix something, but don't fix it all the way. Because what happens when you fix an emergency patient? Will they come back?
Never, ever, ever.
It's one of the reasons dentists have gotten a position to say, we don't take new patients on emergency. My goal would be to try to convert that emergency new patient to a comp exam that day if I could. If I had open time, I was going to schedule them for 30 minutes. Maybe I schedule for an hour for a comp exam. I don't know. The same time, same amount of time, same day, about the same amount of money. We're going to look at everything versus just one thing.
Okay. That's good. That's a really good suggestion. I think we should adopt it. Maybe pick 1 30-minute slot each day. Maybe 2 30-minute slots each day. And then, you can open it up the day prior or 2 days prior.
Yeah. When you break the rules is going to be up to you. Yep. Okay. I like mine next to each other. So assistants go in, right? Chair 1, chair 2 at the same time. And then we're figuring out who's going to be the prescribe and dismiss and who's going to be the treat today. whoever's a treat today, I go into first as the doctor. I get that going, inject, go back to other chair, dismiss while chair one's getting numb, then I go back, right?
Great.
The bad part would be if they both want to do treatment the same day. I couldn't do that. I would have to smooth, drain, and then reappoint.
Right. Good.
What's the
All
next?
right, you ready for number 3?
Yeah.
All right, the young adult healthy mouth patient.
So really 3 and 4.
Complete exam with doctor for 1 hour.
Yeah, so for me, 3, young adult could be kid or young adult, either one. And, you guys schedule these in hygiene, right?
Yes.
Hygiene ends up with openings day before, let's put them in. It's a 1 hour hygiene visit. Sometimes I'll schedule them a half hour before that hour with the assistant, if I can, if they're not already got 2 chairs going, right? So that the assistant can do emotional exam, if appropriate, aged, photos, x-rays, whatever it might be, chart existing, and then hygienist is ready, move them into hygiene chair, and we finish, it's an hour and a half appointment, but it was just an hour of hygiene time. But I think 3 and 4 go together there. That's your typical what you're doing. And then 5 is the full meal deal. What is that to you guys?
All right, so yeah, the number 5 is the 2-hour full meal deal. So Eric, in our practices, we schedule 30 minutes for a comp exam if it's a new patient. If they're over 18, if they're not, we do 1 hour. That's typically the way we do it. So recently, I think it was with you and Paula and me and Nicole, we spoke a little bit about the challenge of the 30 minutes. Sometimes we book that 30 minutes for the comp exam in the hygiene room, but many times that 30 minutes it only takes 5 or 10 minutes to do 10 minutes to do a new patient comp exam, and it's done within the first hour. So that leaves a half hour or a whole hour for the hygienist where, they're unemployed for that hour. So, so we're thinking what we talked a little bit about was let's try our best to keep that half hour on the doctor book, move the patient over so that it gives hygienist opportunity to see a patient during that next hour. So we talked a little bit about that. So in the 5 different types of patients, the 4 and 5, one says 1 hour and one says a 2 hour. We could do a hybrid. Yeah. Right. Okay. This method suits the purpose as long as we keep the half hour in the doctor book.
Yep. Exactly. Yep. Yep. And it's just an example. The meal deal, right? The big picture. If I had somebody who called me and said, "Yeah, I saw what you did to my buddy Cal, and I love his full mouth reconstruction, and I want that too, and I want to come in." They might come in for like a consult, 30-minute consult, 20-minute consult, and then come back for the big 2-hour deal. Or you might start out, somebody says, "Look, I want a cleaning and exam the same day, exam and cleaning the same day." That might be longer. So again, another drop-in point where you whittle it down to something that works for them and you. Can we say yes to it? That's the trick, right?
Yes, and we want to say yes, right?
We want to say yes. We want more new patients. All right. We ready to move on?
Are we good?
Yes.
Okay. Our next topic is asking for referrals, and we're going to keep it really simple.
Did you get my email, Eric? I shared that thought earlier with everyone before we got online together.
And I love it. It's really in line with, Walter had this 7-step process for asking referrals. I try to get down to 3 or 4 things that you can do. And it's a system that's built around that creates the accountability. Because what I find happens when I'm watching offices, like in a practice eval, we do a morning huddle, and maybe somebody will bring up asking for a referral at morning huddle, but we ignore that. It's awkward. I don't want to talk about that. I don't want to create accountability. And if it comes up, I'll slip some cards in their bag. And then it doesn't happen. We wonder why we don't get new patients referred. So here's the first part of the system is, before even the verbal skill that doctor shared, is at your morning huddle, are you guys, everybody announcing 1, maybe 2 people a day that you're going to ask for referral from? Top 20s, people you know that love you.
Not yet, but we will.
Okay. So when you define top 20 mathematically, you see 8 patients a day. That's 1.6 patients a day you should be asking for referrals. So one day you're asking 1, next day you're asking 2, right? And it's your column. So, you know, Ann looks at her column and says, oh, man, Marky Mark's coming in at 2. I love him. He is the best. I'm going to ask him for a referral because I know he loves us. He's going to be easy to ask for a referral. That's what we want. Don't ask super grumpy patient if they're going to refer people to you, right?
Or patients that don't pay their bill or don't show up.
Yeah, I mean, and birds of a feather flock together, right? So.
Well, and one thing like Dr. Lamette has started doing, like in the last month, because we kind of talked about it, and she, you know, asked me to kind of help her stay on top of it, is, you know, our patients that maybe we don't see the whole family, like maybe we just see the mom or we just see like a sister. You know, Dr. Lamette will be like, do we see your husband? And they'll be like, no, he won't come to the dentist, or he sees somebody else. And she's like, well, yeah, we would love to see him and take care of him too. And we actually had, I think it was like this past week, she was like, you know, I'm just going to make an appointment and just tell him he's coming. That's what I'm going to do.
Good. Yeah, that's good. It's good. So keep doing that. That's easy. The second thing is, if you're going to ask today at Morning Huddle, right, everybody's going to announce who they're doing, then that means tomorrow you're going to create accountability and say, hey, Nicole, how'd it go yesterday asking Marky Mark? Oh, wait, no, it was Ann. Ann, how'd it go yesterday asking Marky Mark for the referral, right? And if you know we're going to create some accountability, somebody's going to ask you how it went. You're now more likely to follow through and do it. It's very easy to forget to ask for the referral in dentistry, right? I hear that excuse all the time, and I'm guilty of it myself. So we got to create systems around the verbal skill. Make sense?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, you guys use Dentrix, is that correct?
Yes.
Hey, Eric. Shannon had a thought.
I was going to mention that it's a little bit easier for me with the situational at checkout is I typically will ask a patient, well, how was your visit today? And depending on their response, I've been able to say, like I've had, I want to say twice now, patients will say, oh, my visit was great. I just love y'all. And then in return, I can say, well, we would love for you to refer your family and friends because we'd love to see them too. So it's situational response is how I can throw in my,
Situational response.
get my referral in as well.
Yeah, I think admin is the icing on the cake for 2 reasons. One is my verbal skill for it, I really want in a semi-private area. I don't want everybody in the reception area to hear it. But number 2 is I don't have a column I'm working out of. I don't have just this patient. I see everybody. And so you never know what you're going to get there. I find admin does a lot better job at asking for reviews than referrals because, you know, it just seems easier. But yeah, absolutely. If you can get in more than your 1 a day, that's icing on the cake. And I'm saying 1 per column, right? So if doctor has 2 columns, that's 2 there. And then hygiene has 1, that's 3 that we're going to ask a day. And then admin becomes icing on the cake. Oh yeah, and I'm going to do this one and this one. Okay. I think it has to be semi-private. If it's a public conversation, it gets awkward for the person who can overhear it and you who's delivering the message.
Right.
So I love that, Shannon. Thank you for sharing that. Now, in Dentrix, here's my thought. If you're going to be on purpose about this and you're really going to handpick people, you don't want to have them have Ann ask Marky Mark today, then Marky Mark comes back in and sees doctor in 3 weeks, and Lindsay says, I'm going to ask Marky Mark in 3 weeks, and they both say the same exact thing to him 3 weeks apart, and he's going, this is weird, this is funky, I don't know what's going on here, right?
They're machines.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it's really important that in Dentrix, in your family file, in the patient note, you put a date. Ask Marky Mark for referral and hygiene, gave him 5 cards. Positive response, whatever you need to do. So that way, in 3 weeks, Lindsay she goes, oh, I'm going to ask Marky Mark. She looks, she goes, oh, I can't ask him. He was just asked 3 weeks ago. I got to pick somebody different. Okay? You guys got it?
10-4.
All right. Now the verbal skill. really simple, compliment them, just like Doctor has going here. We love seeing you and your family. That's simple. Step 2 would be educate them. We're looking for more people just like you. People you work with, friends, family, coworkers, whatever. 3, ask for help. And you said, this is what, can I ask you a question? If someone asks, would you recommend, us to them? Mine is, are you the type of person who's comfortable recommending us to your friends, family, and coworkers? That's how I say it. You can do it however you want. And then the last thing that's not on here, but it's assumed, is the next logical step. Whatever's appropriate. If they go, oh no, I would never, that's like politics and religion. I don't talk about my dentist, And so I would note that in my family file. Don't ask them for referrals. They're not comfortable with it. But most of the time they are, and you just hand them some cards, and I say, well, here's some smile cards. Here's some care to share cards. Here's some referral cards, whatever you guys want to call them. And I hand, how much you like, 5, 10, 20? I'll take 5, give them 5. And I document that I did that. Make sense?
Yes.
Okay. So you guys have got homework because you got to practice that. Okay. You got some role playing to do to practice it, make sure you're comfortable with it. And you're more likely to be comfortable with each other than with a patient and stumble over your words and talk like this and not have it come out right. Practice to be the all-star, right? You got to practice to be an all-star. Can't just watch it on TV and then perform it in the game.
Did you say you wanted to be Michael Jordan?
Yeah. Yeah, my Michael Jordan analogy is when I was a kid watching Michael Jordan, that turnaround fadeaway, and I'd stick my tongue out, and for some reason it wouldn't go in. But I watched him on TV. I watched how he did it, and it never worked. Never worked.
I would do it 2 or 3. I was on the other phone when I did this. Arthur.
Did you get a message from us? Yeah, there's some hygiene patients at 2, and then your operative patients at 2.
We have y'all down for Thursday at 2.
Thursday.
Thursday at 2.
Oh, Thursday.
Yes, sir.
Oh, that's as early as you can do it.
Yes, sir. She is out for the afternoon. We've got her down Thursday at 2. Yes,
Thursday
sir.
at 2.
Thursday
Okay.
at 2.
All right. Thank you.
Okay, we're good. We had a patient stop in.
All right, awesome.
All right, so Eric, we just had a patient that came in with the wrong appointment time. Thank y'all for handling that. And now I have to slip out to get back to the other office. So I'm going to say thank you very much and good day. And we'll talk soon, okay? I really appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, you guys.
Eric, nice to meet you.
Nice meeting you guys. I'll send you the recording, okay?
Perfect.
All right, so I want you guys to practice the role play on this, the ask for referral, and work on your 5 types of new patients coming in. We didn't get to new patient phone call friction. We didn't get to that, and we didn't get to, scoring your own new patient phone calls. That's something else we had down here to talk about, but we'll get to it next time, okay?
Sounds good.
All right, you guys. Awesome. Have a great rest of your day. Nice meeting you guys.
You too, Eric. Thank
Eric,
you.
thank you very much.
You too.
Thank you. Take
Enjoy.
care. All right, bye-bye.
I really enjoy him. He's great.